Hey folks, I'm about to get going. Yep. Let's work this right now. Hope you guys are enjoying yourselves tonight. I'll go ahead and get things going. Maybe I should just switch this over to just Monday streams. Alright. Welcome back, folks. This is Cetriya, Cetriya, and in all honesty, I should probably switch this to a Monday stream instead of Sunday stream. But anyhow, I am still working on finishing up this chapter. And in the meantime of me working on the tones for this chapter, I'm going to go ahead and just talk about my experiences with Kickstarter. And I also decided to change up a little bit on the kind of music I'm listening to. Because why not? Why not some synth, right? Okay. Hopefully the music is not overpowering, but if so, feel free to voice your opinion, and I'll try and make up the change. Yeah, I've been in a bit of a synthwave lately. I mean, I'm not necessarily a child of the 80s, too young for that, but I do love the music. And I just felt like I would do that a little bit. On my second cup of chamomile. Strange combination, right? Pop music and soothing chamomile tea. But what can I say? Today I'm a little moody. So yeah, I'm going to just work on these comics right here and talk about my Kickstarter fails and wins. If at any point you guys have questions about the Kickstarter, let me know. And then a quick note is I still have that comic book tutorials giveaway. I did a review, so please go ahead and take a look inside my channel. You'll see it's the thumbnail that says giveaway. It's the first and only one, and it's running until the end of the month, which is about a week left before I announce the winner on that. So hopefully you'll find one of the books helpful to you guys. Welcome back, Ladybug. Thanks for joining me. So beyond the last chat that I had, which was more of a rant. So if you've noticed, the title says Art and Rant about the whole YouTube thing. And I know for a lot of us, we're probably going to go through figuring out ways to, I guess, make a living online. Now, fortunately for me, I have a full-time job, a full-time art job that, it pays the bills. I wish the projects were more challenging, but it does what it needs to do, and that is to pay my bills. And it's in something that I actually know how to do, and it's something that requires me to challenge myself day by day. And so I'm continuing practicing my work. So although, you know, I'm not showing some overly well-developed sketchbook, which, by the way, I'm very behind that personal challenge of mine or resolution of mine. I will get to that eventually. But I am at least on minimum drawing 5 days a week, if not 6.5 days, because I don't think I draw the whole day Saturdays anyways. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get into that. So yes, welcome back, and thank you for watching while I am working on this, and let's get right into the topic. So Kickstarter. When it first came about on the scene, I was not really part of that group anyways, so it's probably later on that I started hearing that, and that was probably when a lot of like webcomics was really starting to get its peak. I think it was before things like Tapas and stuff like that. I think it was like the age of like Smack G's or whatever. And this was just before all the unfortunate things that happened with Kickstarter, with these big game companies amassing a lot of money and then all of a sudden just disappearing because they didn't know how to budget. And then you eventually start having more and more like higher known or more publicly known figures, like I don't know, some of the higher, more known like Marvel artists and stuff like that, which to be honest, a lot of people don't realize that I don't think like Marvel comics and DC comics really pay their artists as much as they should now, considering of all the movie monies. But maybe they do now, but back then they did not. So yeah, these artists were well known, but they weren't making that much money. So, but still, people got onto them. And then later on, you start going into the wave of anime studios going on there, which started the discussion of, you know, how much animators are getting paid. And that goes into a whole nother discussion that is unfortunate about how much artists aren't getting paid. I've also noticed that more and more, not just the Japanese, but other Asian nationalities such as Korea and China are coming into America and in Canada and getting into the animation studios and animation schools, because at least in America, if you're going to do animation, you're going to get paid a livable wage. And since they're used to a far harsher working condition, to them it's like it's vacation. It's like, are you serious? I'm able to afford a house and I'm doing animation and I'm actually getting breaks. So I think a lot of people, I think there's just been so much things that Kickstarter has been known for. And I may not be too sure about this, but I think they're owned by Amazon, or are they individual? I'm not sure. I'm not going to look that up. The point of this chat really is to talk about my own personal wins and fails, and that's especially considering I am not, as you can see, I'm not a big artist. People don't know me that much. And just to give just a general, maybe an opinion, a thought, or to share how I think when I do these kind of experiments and projects and see if you know, why it worked, why it didn't work. It's also part of the reason, as I mentioned, why I probably won't be on a Patreon, because I don't know, by the time I get to having enough people, Patreon may not even be there. Not that I wouldn't want it to be there, but if it is there, it's probably will be oversaturated, or there might be a better service out there, since people will see that Patreon works, so maybe they can copy. There's just so much on that. But anyhow, so my first Kickstarter was a comic that I did called Oi Claire, and the main reason why I did that comic was because I hadn't drawn for so long. I don't know what it is. You'd think that art school would have kept you drawing, but art school just tired me out. Like, well, other things was going on in life too, but it was just like, I just did not want to work. I didn't want to make any art right at that point. I just felt like maybe doing little doodles and that was it. Which is really unfortunate, because I almost felt like I definitely retrogress in terms of my skills, because, you know, if you don't use it, you lose it. It's kind of like a language. So So that was the main reason why I did that. And after researching as much as I can with the Kickstarter, I figured to do my due diligence and do my best. And I did a small Kickstarter and it actually went through. And I'll go ahead and share that real quick, that Kickstarter page. Okay. There it is. So this Kickstarter actually made it through, and this was my Eau Claire Kickstarter. And you know, it's pretty. It said 1800, so it made 1800, which I appreciate. And I did everything as best as I can. As you can see, it says staff pick, so apparently Kickstarter people liked it back then too. Did a video, did cute little lines and stuff like that. The description, the video was less than a minute or two. I think it was less than 2 minutes. Colorful photos and all that good stuff, and you know, as much as I can to give a reason for people to support, and had some interesting stretch goals and yada yada, kept up to date and all of this good stuff. Had the first 10 pages samples, but it did pretty good. That was my very first Kickstarter. Now, one would assume that if you made your very first Kickstarter and it did good, then your second one should do good. Especially since the second one I was asking for less money. For Eau Claire, I was asking for $1,200, I think. And then for the other one that I made, which was the Inktober one, I asked for $875. Not only did it not fund it, but it was such a low turnout that I was surprised how low of a turnout. Like, I would assume that at 800 you should be able to come up with $1,000 bucks, but it didn't gain an audience, unfortunately. Even though for that one I was actually giving original artwork. So I can go ahead and show you that page too, and then I end up canceling it after a while. So this one was Space Queens, and it was Inktober, so not only was it my second one and I was asking for less money, but I was also doing it as part of that challenge that many people participate in. And I was figuring, oh, that would be a good idea. Why not? And I was giving up I made the mock-ups, did the cute little lines. I had very simple, just 4 tiers, you know, 15, 35, 60, so they were all reasonable. And the 60 and 30, 135 include the actual artwork that I did for their cute stickers, all things that were very easy for me to go ahead and ship it out and such. But this one only got 7 backers at $162. So after the second week was up, I decided, okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and cancel it. So what could have been the difference between the win and the fail of Kickstarter for me? How is it that I was able to make the very first Kickstarter, but then the second Kickstarter I failed pretty bad? Like, I couldn't even come up with $200 after 2 weeks, right? Now, I'm just going to go about in guessing, because unless I get someone to actually consult or something, and even then, I don't think one can really come and think about such things as art and really analyze it. But here's some of my several guesses. For Eau Claire, I had a fully color thumbnail, which attracted a lot of people to the page. So yes, color still sells. Color always sells. So even if the book was not in color, I should have probably give a color thumbnail. And which probably also what helped attracted the Kickstarter team, in that they went ahead and give it a staff pick, which, because they got that approval, that hopefully it got more people who were on the fence to go ahead and, you know, purchase or pledge for that. Yeah, thank you so much for the comment. It was all things that I was pretty proud of. I would not put out a book that I wasn't proud of, and I put it out for pretty reasonable at $15 because as a black and white book, and I was planning for the cover to be a crafts cover because for me, I would like to use Kickstarter to do small projects that are small enough, but also big enough that I can't really just sit and do on my own. Like I can't sit and just buy 125 copies of a book and then sit on it, you know. Plus, I don't have as much wall space, so all of my original artwork, which if you haven't noticed is a rare thing, I don't do original artwork as much unless I'm really specifically trying to go for like a look. And since Inktober, for what I understand, required traditional artwork, and plus I wanted to mess with some of my inking tools, I went ahead and made all original artwork, and I really appreciated that because now I'm really enjoying just sitting there and inking again. So I figured that would be the one time that people can get some sort of piece of an original artwork for me. But like I said, it is in black and white, and I think that really hurt the project because, again, I'm not well known. So this is all based on impulse buying, and people would more likely impulse buy color artwork. So what's next? The other thing was probably maybe category or the timing. So with Auriclair, not only was it 2 years prior, it was I think 2015 or something that I finished, so it was 2014 that I went ahead and did that one. I think at that time Kickstarter wasn't as saturated as it is right now. And add to the fact that I decided to launch Auriclair during March because I figured that would be tax return season, and that's just about enough time for people to like recover from whatchamacallit, holiday spending. But with Space Queen, since Inktober happens in October, I figured, okay, I'll do it in November and then hopefully get everything out by January. Which, no, I think it was like the end of December or something. So technically speaking, if anyone wanted to purchase it, they can't purchase it for a gift because it would be out in January. And then second of all, I think everyone probably had that same idea too, because if you look up on Kickstarter at the time of October, so many Inktober books was out. Why, hello, Alexis. Thanks for passing by. I'm just chatting about Kickstarter fails and wins. If you have any questions about it, just let me know. So yeah, at the time, people were shopping for gifts. Everyone else was trying to post a Kickstarter for their Inktober. So it just ended up, it was not a unique product. Even though I had a cool theme that I liked, it was just not a unique enough product because more than likely, if you're searching on Kickstarter and you like art, you probably would go ahead and pledge for the artist that you're already a fan of versus someone that would be essentially an impulse buy for it. So even though Inktober is a built-in community, I think it's because it's a built-in community that I probably did not gain that much much pledges because of that. And the competition was just way too high. Then you're just competing with everybody else trying to purchase things and stuff like that. Whereas March is just I think it's a good like cool down. Another category to think about is the fact that I feel like the comics category, to an extent, some people try to abuse that category actually, but the comics category I feel is filled with people who really want to support. Like they actively just go and search for comics and stuff that catch their eye because they actively want to support that, versus I think the art category is too general, that by the time people go like the art and illustration book, I think it's just too general. That's why I would best say it's just way too general. There's too many things going on, so then people just end up not they are not really looking for that. But I feel like the comic community is definitely supportive. Far more supportive than in a lot of communities, even though we have our dramas. And boy, do we have drama. Woo! But yeah. what was next on my list for the whole Kickstarter things? Okay, here's one that it's not like I shot myself in the foot or anything. This was a personal decision, and I wanted to test out the whole, if I run a shorter Kickstarter, how would it go? So maybe Space Queens would have done well if I would have done the full 35 days things, because Eau Eclair really didn't fund for a good portion of the time until towards the end. People were like, oh wait, maybe I should, fund for this thing or something like that. And Space Queens was only meant to run for about 16 days or something. And because at 16 days, people just probably looked at it and assumed that, oh, I guess for the last 15 days, no one wanted to back on this, so why should I back on this? So there might have been like a false assumption that Space Queens was not worthy of being backed or something like that. So I didn't get enough initial people, backing Space Queens early enough. And that could be a fault of my own too. I'm not really the best when it comes to social media. I try to do the best I can, but it's like, what can I do? Like what can I do to really try and share my work? I do my best. I just do my best. I try to do my best, and hope something resonates into people. And I'm being quite patient about building that. So I know that going forward, that anything that I post on Kickstarter will definitely, 1, be in color. 2, try to garner as much people following me or talking about the product before I post onto Kickstarter. And 3, let the Kickstarter run longer. I feel that is best, because other areas such as the tiers that I was having, because I didn't have complicated tiers, the tiers was of a good price. What I offer was a good offering. I did have the videos out, everything and all that stuff. It's just the fact that timing was wrong, the product was probably wrong, and I really need to focus on actually developing, or not developing, because that sounds weird, but actually finding you guys, finding more of you guys, finding the rest of you guys that would appreciate my slight obsession with sci-fi themes and whatnot. So, but yeah. So that was a pretty short talk about my Kickstarter wins and fails. And I'm sure there's plenty of other things that was part of the reason why I didn't win, or I did win, or why I failed. Could have been many other things. But I say it's an interesting feedback. I wasn't devastated. I wasn't even peeved. I wasn't angry. I just said, well, at least now I'm not going to be stuck with 100 books that nobody wants. It's just, I'm not out of the money. It's just an experiment. I did Inktober, and I gathered a lot of experience from it. I gained a few bit of some followers also, so thank you for coming over. And I got more information out of it. So if you're planning to do a Kickstarter, if you want to do a Kickstarter, just go in with the best intentions and the best thoughts, and put your best foot forward. Pretend you were making a portfolio for like a job interview or something like that. But at the end of the day, if it doesn't go, just review what happened, what may have worked, maybe ask someone's opinion, and then after that, don't stress about it too much. You understand? Don't stress about it too much. It's also helpful not to compare. I also wonder if, because of my location, because at the time of Kickstarter, the first one, I was in Brooklyn at the time, and I feel like because Kickstarter is in Brooklyn, it probably shows up more often. Now that I'm in just Florida, it doesn't show up as much. because if you haven't noticed, when you go to Kickstarter, you actually, to an extent, it does like filter out based on your locale, and I just feel like Florida would not be the best locale for me in terms of that. So who knows? I might just go in and be like, I'm from another place that I used to live. I mean, I know the areas, so that kind of thing. Alrighty, so that was my Kickstarter fails and wins, and if you didn't get to see it, I'll just show it to you again. The project that I did, which was the Eau Claire project, that I did quite well. And honestly, I did this mostly because of the clear file and showing samples of the chapter and whatnot versus my other project, which is the Space Queens, which didn't win. Yeah, this guy, which did not win, but I probably actually will go ahead and make the book. I'm just gonna have to figure out how to make a smaller copies about it, because I do have some conventions I'd like to go to for the year. Speaking of, let's go ahead and segue to another topic. Yeah, I really like Space Queens, and the thing is, like, I have about 30 originals of the artworks that I have the frames for them too, so they have frames with them and stuff like that, but I can't put them on all over the wall. So I'm figuring that I could probably, I think there is 1 or 2 people who wanted to purchase it online, and then after that I'll have a convention or two to go ahead and get that working and make a couple of copies. So it'll be super limited edition. So all you guys who are here while I'm just starting out, you're getting all of my latest super small low print run editions for stuff. Just saying, because I'm not the type to sit there and print like 50 stuff. I just don't. I don't. Which, by the way, I actually do still have a couple more copies with Eau Claire, and that's only because I had assumed that I was going to do more conventions, and then that year just went real crazy, and I just was like, yeah, I can't do conventions. And now, as I'm trying to get into conventions, it is rough. My goodness. Oh, my goodness, my goodness, my goodness. Anyways, I do have I want to say 2 conventions. I have Tampa Comic Con. I just need to go ahead and pay for the invoice for that convention, because I heard it was good. If it's not, I won't be too much out of the money. And then I have Denver Comic Con to work on, which, here's the thing. It's easier for me to get into a Comic Con, ironically, than it is to get into anime cons. I don't know what to say. But then maybe it's just a blessing in disguise, because for some reason, I mean, I don't know. Because I make comics. That's why. Pre-order. Well, that's why I use Kickstarter was for a pre-order, but that's where I kind of shot myself in the. I don't want to say shot myself in the foot, because I did it as an experiment, and that trying to get it to be it was running for 3 weeks, for less than 35 days that I did the first Kickstarter. So I figured if anyone wants to order then they would, but there was only 7 orders. So who knows? I mean, I'll do the pre-order for the 7 people who actually want it, and not bother with Kickstarter, but that means I need to front the money for the 25 books. And I'll probably, well, not 25 because there's 30 artworks, so 32 books, because I need 2 copies to keep for myself. So I'll probably will eventually do that. And I think now that, again, people are more recovered from all of that holidays shopping, I might actually get more people who would want to order some stuff. So that is an idea. I probably will get into that, especially since, like I said, I am going to do conventions, and I have quite a number of prints to sell. But most of my booth, I would like to say 99.9% of my booth, if not 100% of my booth, is all original stuff. And not only is it easier to get into a Comic-Con, but I feel like I'm dealing with people who are more used to just go ahead and look for stuff that they want. But then if you listen to like another podcast that I like to listen to called Surviving Creativity, they mentioned that Comic-Cons aren't the best place to go. But since, again, I'm not spending that much money or time going to a Comic-Con, because I do enjoy going to the conventions, that's why I'm more picky about flying out. I'm flying out to Denver only because my brother lives there, and Denver sounds nice, and I would go to him anyways. So it's like, let me go ahead and check it out. Same thing with, if I could get into Anime Boston, I would sign up for Boston Comic Con, but I heard Boston Comic Con is not that good, so I'm not even gonna do that. But I would like to try Anime Boston. I've tried for 3 years now, and I can't get into this convention for 3 years in a row. And I'm just like, people, please say they're making bank, because I don't understand a frenzy if it's not that good. I don't get the frenzy for Anime Boston if it's not that good. But yeah, so I have 2 conventions. I'm debating about Baltimore Comic-Con. Does anyone know much about that? I've been waitlisted on Otakon, and since Otakon is is Lotto, I might actually get into it sometime later. So I definitely will pay for that if I can get into Otakon. I will definitely apply for that one. So Baltimore Comic-Con is pretty good, you say? I'll think about it. I mean, I got into it. I just haven't paid the invoice for it, so I'm just debating. Because that's, like, all of a sudden now I have to drop, like, just over $500 right now to pay for these things. For conventions that's not happening until the end of the year, which is a good thing, because then by that time I'll have even more stuff to share. But then again, I don't know how will my life will be by the time August rolls around. And I mean, it's just not, I never know, you know, things happen, and then maybe that's okay. Things happen. Things will always happen anyways, right? So it doesn't matter if it's here or if it's somewhere else. But yeah. So I got a couple of I got some coin purses that I have. I have a couple of prints that I could print out, but I really want to get let's see, that comes in August. I want to get chapter 4 done of this comic, which I'm going to test out to see if I can do this on paper by hand, because like I said, I've been really love inking with the gosh, I can't pronounce the word, the Tombow Kuretake inking pen. I've just been loving it so much. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's exactly what it says on Amazon, and I'll eventually put a link in this later on in the descriptions and stuff like that. So, but it's beautiful. The reason why I love it so much is it gives me the impression of a line weight without having to switch between, you know, different size pens with the technical pens. And then the technical pens, they don't taper out when you're inking. Like, this is what I mean by taper. You go from thick to thin with the same kind of pen. Like, they don't do that, and it feels really unnatural to me. And as much as I do use the nib dip pens, it gets on my nerves to constantly having to dip the pen, clean the pen, dip the pen, clean the pen, you know, and draw with it, and then eventually have to throw it away. So I feel like the Tombow is much better. I don't have to worry about spills. I don't have to worry about ink not drying. I don't have to worry about having to buy a specific paper that can handle the bleed lines. All of that junk. It's been good. It's been good. But yeah. So yes, this comic that should have been out 2 weeks ago, but it's not out 2 weeks ago. I'm just gonna get back to working on it, because I think I've already actually started on the thumbnails for chapter 3, and I'm definitely enjoying where the story is headed. And hopefully I can get to that. I'm going to be introducing, is that too much of a spoiler? I'm going to be introducing a couple of characters in the next one, and then also expanding out the characters that show up in the first 2 chapters and really get used to how the characters look. Also going to be printing out these pages so that way I can have kind of like a quick cheat of what the characters look like, because I know I struggle with that. But hey, it's a webcomic. By the time I actually print this comic, I'll definitely be a better artist, and I probably will end up redrawing some of these frames anyhow and get that working on there. But yeah, I think for conventions, what would be my next plan? I really hope I can get into Anime Expo. Oh, I really hope I can get into Anime Expo. I feel like I'm getting to that point where eventually I'm going to be stop doing conventions pretty soon. I want to say probably in the next 5-ish years or something like that. So, after that, I just don't see myself doing conventions. Like, I might do them, like, if it's, like, local and I could sleep in my own bed afterwards, after a day at a convention, but I just don't. I mean, after 5 or so years, I may or may not. Depends. If it's a big enough show, I might do, like, 1 or 2 shows a year. Make myself super exclusive. So, we got that. But what other things? I did mention that I am working on another project. I seriously have like that new shiny object syndrome, because I thought of another story, but not a comic story. But it looks so much like it sounds so much like a harem story. No, I have not been watching harem stories. Hear me out. When I came up with the title and I came up with the characters, it just came to me in a dream one day. And it's a little bit pieces of little vignettes of stories that I decided that it was not enough, like it wasn't full enough for me to actually devote writing. But now I'm like, oh, this makes sense. I think I'll just put those together. And it sounds like a nice, fun story that I might, who knows, I might actually start writing that one pretty soon, because it literally is one of those stories where it's not going to take too much brain power. I'm just doing it for fun. I really do need to find me an editor, though. I need some editors. Maybe some beta readers. I mean, super beta readers. Because my grandma is not good at all. At all. But I think I'll just offer that to, like, my mailing list. So I have to mention that somewhere. It's like, hey, beta readers for this. So... Now, I know I said I wasn't going to do Patreon, and I still don't see myself doing Patreon because I cannot keep up too much, like, on a monthly basis, and I just find that really unfair to people. But I could probably keep up to, like, an every 2 months thing. So I'm probably just going to go ahead and offer the stories through the mailing list. But not only that, I do want to eventually read out my stories, kind of like an author reading type of thing. And just leave it to people who are dedicated to my story through my mailing list. And if anyone else actually want to, like, I don't know, support or chime in or tip me, I might get like a coffee or just a Gumroad buy now or pay what you want button for the archive. I think that would be a good idea for the archive. I have to ask a poll for that. Which, by the way, the email list will be going out tomorrow, so I'll make sure to post a link to that in the descriptions later on also, on how to sign up to the email list. I should make a video about that too, right? That I have an actual email list. Do people on YouTube actually care about email lists? I know it sounds like an old thing, but it's like, it's the best way for me to do like a blog post and that you get it, because RSS feeds are weird to put together. I mean, it wouldn't be spammy. I'd only email you twice a month, if that. So I'll think about it. Maybe add that on. So that's how many projects in 1 year? I'm probably going to have to revisit that crazy art list, because I just added things and I know something has to give in return. tell you what, doing these things are so tedious. These inking things. Ugh. I'm definitely gonna change it for the next art video, which is Wednesday. Yeah, I think I might just switch it to Monday and Wednesday. If I do one on Sunday, it'll just be a bonus, because for some reason Sundays is like I wake up pretty late on a Sunday, but almost like in a haze, because the whole week, including Saturday, I'm required to wake up early, and I think my body just like, it's like I'm on permanent jet lag. Ugh. So, I won't stay on for too much longer. Probably another 15-ish minutes, because I got other stuff to do before I head on to bed. Hope you guys enjoying the stream so far. Like I said, if you have any questions, let me know. But what are your thoughts, though? Would you prefer that I work on... I think I might work on some color work for next stream, because I do have 2 illustrations that are kind of coming up in due. I might actually... let me see if I can pull it up here. I might actually get... whatchamacallit? This guy actually colored. Extra large icons. All my scanner. These were some of the queen pictures, but let's see if I can get... Yeah. This guy. I'm probably going to color him, and then I have some other... Yeah, okay. I'll probably end up coloring him digitally, and I have a technique that I want to try. So you'll see me experimenting too, and see how this works. So I think, yeah, so Wednesday, 7:30, maybe 7 if I get a head start, probably 7:30, because even if I start on that artwork, I'm not going to stream me putting flat colors. It's the most tedious. It's literally the same thing as watching paint dry. Sorry. I just don't, I'm trying everything I can right now not to just jump out of my seat. And plus, I guess you guys should see some color, right? I probably will do an official how to color versions of Photoshop, because I have several coloring styles based on whatever your needs are. So I might do like how to render watercolor in Photoshop, or how to do like comic book style cut and gradients. They call it cut and gradients. I just call it soft cell style shading. Oh my goodness, I did not realize they were the same words. Okay. I probably have to type what I actually said. Let me see if I can. I have to type what I actually said, because I don't know. What is it? Yeah. Try and say that 7 times fast. Blah. Anyways, and then things like the painterly style, I probably would. I'd probably get a bunch of views if I did. It just takes time for me to actually make those kind of videos, because I'm actually doing a demo. Speaking of videos, I do have like 2 relatively large tutorial videos, but those deal with more like product development, so I don't post it on here. I post it on Skillshare, but I got that one that I recorded a long time ago, and I just never put together, so I eventually got to do that in the next 2 or 3 weeks or something. But the other tutorial I'd probably do for this channel is like how to design a comic book cover, or covers in general, because I think I'm just thinking of tutorials that I think that people touch on but they don't actually do, or they don't actually do it at all. So if there's like a tutorial you're thinking of, you just wish somebody would talk about, let me know. I'm probably gonna definitely do one about digital screen toning and the different techniques that I come up with that. Because I'm pretty particular with my techniques. I'm pretty particular. And again, because I'm a product development artist during the daytime as my job, I come up with all sorts of things on how to make like brushes, but not just how to make a soft brush, but like how to make a pattern brush. Like, you don't want to draw that lace, and trust me, I am lazy 100%. I will figure out a way to cheat, and I will share all them cheats, because no one can come up to you and be like, oh, that's cheating, and I'll be like, you try drawing hundreds of pages. You try doing that. No? Okay then. Besides, you can't cheat drawing a human body. There's no going around it. So, I mean, we've seen the really crappy looking 3D stuff that they try to pass on recent animes. They're not pretty, so you just can't cheat on drawing the human body. Speaking of, I did post a video about poses, on the way I come up with my poses. Some of it is kind of sort of a cheat, but if you don't know anything about the human body, no amount of cheat's gonna help you. If you don't know how to get from point A, B, and C, you can't go from point A and jump straight to D. It's just not gonna work. You're gonna crash and burn. Yep. I am not good. My tongue is pretty heavy. I can't say it's just everything I say is just like blah. I think it's genetic, because it happens to my brother. Alright, let's see. Now we're gonna put some random little background frillies, and then we're going to get this done. Make sure the balloons are showing there. Yes. Good. But yeah, that kind of thing. So I got a number of videos. I got too many videos. I don't know how can people say they don't think of video ideas. I'm like, I got plenty of video ideas. I got too many video ideas. Let's see if I get this in. And then of course, if I do go to conventions, I'm gonna also have those blogs for like the Artist Alley vlogs, and get into that, because people just don't talk about Artist Alley all that much. I don't feel that's like the one area that I don't feel like we're very honest about. We're gonna go ahead and darken this out. Good. Let's get this and get it cleaned out. But yeah, I know especially with what's people been poking about on YouTube. Oh, that's the other video I should probably talk about. Motivation for new to art, or young art, or small, you know, people don't know you, so why should you do art? Well, first off, if you're doing art for the sake of people getting to know you, that is very tiring, because it literally is kind of sort of the luck of the draw. It literally is. So that's not going to be a good idea. Let's see if I can get this done. Yeah. This character, I honestly didn't think about what he is until I started drawing the comic, and he ended up being that way. There you go. That works. That works. But yeah. So hopefully I wasn't being too much of a bugger. I'm going to go ahead and leave this as is. I'm going to finish it out before I head to bed. But I think for now I'm going to go ahead and call it a stop. And thanks again, you guys, for watching. If you have any questions, just leave it in the comments after the live stream ends. Otherwise, just a reminder that the book giveaway is still going on until not this Wednesday, but the Wednesday after, so you have a week. If you have any requests or questions, let me know. And while I'm still under 1,000 subscribers, just a reminder again that I am taking sketch requests, and they are digital color sketch requests. And it could be any of your characters for current day, or they could be sci-fi. And it could be a character that you love, or even if you don't have a drawing of them yet, go ahead and put like a sentence or two description, and you just need to post that in any of the sketch request video. There's a playlist on the channel. Other than that, yeah, while I'm still small, grab what you can get, because after a while, I don't think I'll be able to handle all of the requests. So thanks again for watching. See you in the next stream on Wednesday, and see you in the next video throughout the week. Peace.